Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Payoff Pitch. My name is Patrick Lewis here with freshman Joey Olberding. It is Wednesday, July 19th. Our episode of the Payoff Pitch is coming to you from MRC Radio and YouTube. Thank you for joining us. Joey, this is a great day. And you know why it's a great day?
No, I don't, Patrick. Please tell me.
Because, as our viewers don't know because they can't see us, you have a Pelican shirt on, okay? And it's a great day because you continue the trend of having a jersey or sports shirt on every time you do this show.
I didn't know we were tracking that, Patrick.
I have been tracking it, Joey, and it's something that I've noticed, and it's really cool. It's like one of those things that you can't, like our listeners can't see because we're obviously not on TV and we're not having it video live, but I'm going to take a picture of this. Remind me later to take a picture of your Pelicans. He's wearing an Anthony Davis shirt jersey, and I forget which one. I think in our picture that we put on YouTube, you're wearing a soccer jersey. Am I right on that?
Hey, I don't know.
I think you are. It's like a Manchester.
Well, people watching on YouTube can make sure to tell us about that.
Yeah, well, we might do this every single week. We're not going to be doing it much longer because school's going to start up here in a month. But for the next couple of weeks or so, we're going to try to take a picture of you in your sports jersey. And it's almost kind of like, what is Joey wearing today? Sports related to the talk show.
I seriously had no idea about this until right now. So, okay.
You wear them on a consistent basis. You do.
I mean, I do, but like, I didn't think that we would be tracking it when we started this radio show. I mean,
well, it's not like I was like, okay, for the first two shows or so, I didn't really notice a trend until like 3 or 4 in. I'm thinking like, I think he's worn this every single time. And the last time before, like right after 4th of July, we came back and you did it again. I was like, holy cow. Okay, this is a trend.
Hey, I mean, I like these shirts. I mean,
nothing wrong with that. And it's perfect for our radio show. And you know what I haven't seen though, Joey, is a Reds jersey. Is it because they've been doing so bad this season?
Well, that's not exactly it. But since you brought it up, let's talk about them. See, the Reds, since the All-Star break ended 5 days ago, the Reds have been doing something, and that something is not a good something. They've been swept and are 0 for 5 in the games that they've played since the All-Star break. They got swept by the Nationals in 4 games, and
Bryce Harper's playing outstanding baseball.
Oh, and Daniel Murphy and Anthony Rendon and every single person on the Nationals. The Nationals are an amazing team, and you can't. If any team were to sweep the Reds, realistically, it would be the Dodgers or the Nationals. And just saying, the Dodgers have also swept the Reds.
Yeah, right before the All-Star break.
Yeah, and you would hope that the All-Star break could give some much-needed relaxation for these Reds players. But if you go 0 for 5 after the All-Star break, that's not a good sign. That means it's more than just rest needed. It's something having to do with the management.
Okay, interesting point you say management right there at the end, because I believe Brian Price just came out today saying that they're not losing games from the dugout, meaning that the strategy, what they're doing management-wise, is not why they're going 0 for 5 after the All-Star break. They believe that the athletes on the field should be playing better. And he's right. They probably should be. Sora should be playing it right. Their pitching should be. I mean, their whole pitching staff, I believe, at the start of the season is now on the DL.
That's true.
Isn't it?
I'm pretty positive that that's 100% true. All of the starters projected to start for the Reds are on the DL. And that you can look at the offense of the Reds, and you can notice that from opening day, not one member of their offense has really been injured, but all of their pitching has been. And when you look at the Reds from a season before, the all-time home run record given up, and the fact that, they didn't really improve upon that pitching over this year. I mean, they signed Scott Feldman and made him the opening day starter, and he's like a 5th or 4th starter already. He shouldn't be marked off as an ace. Especially if he's only going to be here for 1 year, which is pretty much, without a doubt, what's going to happen.
But isn't that what Brian Price is staying here for? When he first got hired, I remember he got interviews from the Seattle Mariners and other teams, and the reason why we wanted him so much, not just because he was an incumbent, but because he had such wise intuitive pitching aspects that he was going to bring to the team. As a pitching coach for us before, he was going to fix our pitching staff and bring something more. I mean, you win games with defense and pitching, correct?
Yeah.
That's what happens in baseball. So when Brian Price is coming here in his, second or third year, and the pitching is not up to par. It's just not. You look at all the other baseball clubs around, pitching is what is putting them in a great position. The Dodgers, as you mentioned, you got Kershaw and Wood over there that have not lost a game.
Yeah, they're amazing, and you have to look at the Dodgers. Like, if you look at the Dodgers, you can see that their offense, it really doesn't have that many guys, many notable players. A lot of your best players are, like, all-right players from other teams that got traded over to the Dodgers and became outstanding. One person I think of as, like, a real, like, amazing player, a real example of this, is Justin Turner. He played for the Mets from, like, 2007 to 2011, and he was just an all-right player, nothing really special, but he gets traded to the Dodgers, and all of a sudden, when he's, like, 31 or 32, he has this offensive resurgence, and he becomes one of their best offensive players. And something that's really great about the Dodgers is that they have great pitching, amazing pitching. You can look at the pitching, probably one of the best staffs in the league, probably the best staff.
Right.
And you know, you need offense to back up that pitching, and they have a lot of just fine players, but no real superstars. Their superstars are all at pitching. Their best players are Justin Turner, Adrian Gonzalez, Yasiel Puig, guys like that. And They really know how to make a great baseball team year after year, even if they don't always win the World Series or something.
Right.
But the Reds, they're trying to have that good pitching, but they're pretty much the opposite problem. If you have good hitting, but it's inconsistent, completely unlike the Dodgers, then that's just a total problem, especially if your pitching is doing as terrible as it is. And all the starters are getting injured. Whoever's managing the starting pitching really has to do a better job of making sure nobody gets injured, because that's just something
that's going to happen, though, Joey. I mean, you look at the football. I mean, it's just the professional sports in general, whether it's football, whether it's baseball, whether it's the NHL, you're going to have injuries, and you're going to have to deal with that. And you're just going to probably have one star player, maybe even two. Look at the Astros right now. Correa just got injured. He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? And he could have been in the running for AL MVP. He probably was a top runner, top 3 for sure. But it's going to happen. You're going to have to work through that. The problem is with the Reds, there's nothing to work for right now.
Yeah.
They're not going to make anything. They're not going to make the wild card. Heck, we were thinking about the Cubs right now. They were going to, be the top of the division, and the Brewers are sitting up there right now, and the Cubs are looking at the wild card instead of the division right now. And heck, we're 13 games out?
Yeah, it's not pretty, and especially with the fact, like, going back to what I said, the fact that the pitching gets injured far more often than other teams in the league, and you could just pin that all down to bad luck or whatever, but I really do think that it comes down to the management, even if Brian Price says that it all comes down to the players on the field, which is also true. I think really the reason that the Reds are struggling so much is the fact that none of their players or their management really collide together. They might have good chemistry, but they don't have good. But they're not good at, like, colliding. They don't have, the management can't do well with the players, and the players can't do well with the management. So, even if they have good chemistry, the actions from the management and the actions from the players don't really have that symmetry.
Symmetry. Yeah, it's a good word. I was gonna say that, but I'm trying to understand what we're trying to say here, because the chemistry and symmetry, they're very similar definitions. Okay, when we're talking about it, right? Because when you're talking about the chemistry of things, you're talking about how this product works with this product, okay? And when we talk about symmetry, you're working on parallel lines. Basically the same thing. When one person is doing one thing, the other person is in line with the other person doing the same thing, okay?
Yes.
So when you talk about those two separate words, you're saying that has chemistry but not symmetry.
Yes.
So what is the difference? What are you trying to say here?
The difference between chemistry and symmetry.
In your baseball talk right now, what are you trying to tell me?
I'm trying to tell you that chemistry is getting along with other people, but symmetry.
Camaraderie.
Yeah, camaraderie.
Got it.
And symmetry is just how actions from the management and how the players perform interlock, how they do well together. And a lot of teams are very good at that, and a lot of teams are very bad at it. Like going back to the Dodgers, because we keep on talking about the Dodgers. The manager for the Dodgers, he always like talks to the players before the game. I mean, all managers do that, but he like really interacts with the players, and he tells them like what's going on with their game and how to fix it, even if it's just like a minor thing. Brian Price doesn't do that. Nobody in the Red staff does it. They just expect them to do all right enough not to be yelled at all the time.
Well, give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, we don't know if Brian Price does or doesn't do that. We're not in the clubhouse, right? So we have to maybe suspend our judgment just a quite a bit to maybe think that Brian Price is a little more player heavy, to talk to them a little bit, and not necessarily the X and O's type of guy. And we talked about Joe Madden a couple times on this show, and I feel like Joe Madden is a really good person, the manager of the Cubs, to really get along with the players, like talk to them a little bit, like understand where they want to play.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't put Rizzo over at first base.
No.
Without talking to him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Brian Price does that too. You never know. It could be a great relationship that they have. But what are we going to do, though? Trade deadline's coming up. I mean, Reds are obviously not going anywhere this season, but a lot of talk has been around Zach Cozart and whether or not he's going to be trade bait for a lot of teams. What's going on the trade deadline?
Well, a lot of people have been saying that Zach Cozart and the Royals would be a perfect fit. The Royals are in the running for that AL wildcard spot, which everybody's gunning for. And the Royals' shortstop at the moment is Alcides Escobar, who through the course of his career has hit for all-right average, like 260, 270, and hit minimal home runs, though he plays good defense, and he's speedy, while Zach Cozart is one of the best shortstops in the league. And
by what criteria? Zach Cozart is probably good offensively. Defensively, he has a glove, but he hasn't won a Gold Glove.
Well,
I believe, in my opinion, he's above average defensively.
Definitely. He is an amazing player. I remember back when Brandon Phillips was on the Reds. That was only a year ago. Back then, when they could make amazing double plays, Zach Cozart could just make a good stop and then flip it to Brandon Phillips. He'd use one hand, throw it to first. That's a double play.
Yeah, it was almost like the 6-4-3 double play was a good combination with Cozy and Phillips. But I understand. Like, my opinion right now is I don't want to trade Cozart. We do this a ton where we just give away young, good talent. We did it with Alonso, that first baseman, right? And he ended up having some drug issues and whatnot off the field, and I get that. But and maybe that was because of Mesoraco coming up.
Maybe
because it was Joey Votto at first base. Who knows?
Maybe.
Maybe we get rid of Hamilton. Hamilton is not a very good offensive leadoff hitter. When he gets on base, he can wreak havoc. We know that with his speed. That's his main attribute as a player, right? Do we not trade Billy Hamilton? I mean, let's put it this way. He's good defensively. I mean, do you think he's outstanding defensively? I don't know.
Yes.
You think he's outstanding? He makes great plays. He really does.
That speed combined with the defense can just be amazing. You've seen the
if plays. He gets on base, I don't know what his on base percentage right now, but it's not good. It's not. His batting average is not good.
Yeah, but the defense, which I was talking about, is just amazing. And the thing is, he's still young. He's still a very young player, and he's had his experience in the bigs, of course, but you can't give away that good young talent, like you said, and just expect everything to go right. You've seen it happen with other former Reds players, Yasmani Grandal. You saw Yonder Alonso, Didi Gregorius, players like that, and just random players that people thought, oh, they'll be all right players, turn into all-stars or all-star caliber players. Yasmani Grandal last year was the best catcher in the league. Yonder Alonso, first-time all-star, one of the best players on the A's, best hitter probably. Didi Gregorius went to the Yankees, and he just keeps hitting home runs, and nobody's paying attention to these guys. Why? Because they're nobodies. They came out of nowhere, and they came from Cincinnati, a small market team, and everything is expected to be like, okay, they'll be an all right player. But then they start doing really well. They get nominated for like all these awards, and still nobody bats an eye because the Reds traded away these guys because they thought that they would be useless, just like everybody else. But when they get into their prime, they do really well.
Yeah. No, I agree. I completely agree. We're just going to have to see what's coming up. Deadline's coming soon. Billy Hamilton, not good on base percentage, around 300.301 base percentage. It's pathetic. It's probably one of the worst on the team. His batting average is around 250. You need a leadoff hitter that gets on base. You do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You just do. You need to be able to have a close to a 300 hitter as a leadoff hitter if you're going to be successful.
Well, here's my question, Patrick. If we were to trade Billy Hamilton, who would go in that leadoff spot?
Cozart.
You think Cozart?
Without a doubt. I mean, he's got great batting average right now. His on base percentage is good. I mean, I'm not a manager. I don't really know, but that's what I would do. I mean, you put somebody in the front of the lineup that can get a hit. You want to start off every single inning, right, with somebody on base in some sort of capacity. Whether you're slow or fast, it really almost doesn't matter because you get in the head of the pitcher. You get the throwovers. You have the counts are changing. You get a little bit of different strategy between the pitcher and the catcher. Whether like you throw fastballs more often to get to the plate faster, and so you can maybe throw out the runner. Who knows, right? But once you get people on base, that's the whole goal.
Yeah.
Right? You want to get them on, get them over, get them in, as the whole lineage goes, right? It's a cliche, but it's accurate. So let's transition away from baseball a little bit, okay? Let's talk a little bit about football. Today, we're going to have 50 days away from the start of the pro football season.
Yeah.
And in Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Bengals have a lot to look forward to. Andy Dalton is coming back. Obviously, he's the starting quarterback. A lot of talk has been about A.J. McCarron, whether or not he's going to leave because he could be a starter someplace. I think he's going to be a starter someplace. He's going to be one of those, what Marcus Mariota is now for the Titans.
Think so?
I think so. He's going to be a great quarterback. So things that we're looking for, maybe William Jackson, I think that's his name, the cornerback for the Bengals that we drafted who got injured last season. He's going to be coming back. Lots of good things coming from the pro football side and the college football side. I'm more excited about, quite honestly, just because I'm a UC grad and the Bearcats going to AAC. It was not a big college football conference, but I'm excited every year. I mean, I'm a fan. Dude, I love getting excited about college football just because of the atmosphere. You go to a pro football game and you tailgate and you have some good times with some friends and you see a good football game at the highest level it's being played. But you go to college, you have the bands, you have the college students, you have all of the atmosphere that a college is around that campus with.
And they're more like rivalries. You can see more rivalries. You can see more games. You can see more action. You can see more entertainment. You can see all of what this college believes in just in one football team. How much they love them. How much they want to root for the team or not root for the other team. How much they despise the other team. How much they like a certain player. All of that. You can see all of that in just a college football team. You can see that in an NFL team too, but college football really has that energy that professional football doesn't have. Even if these are professional players and they get paid for this, you can still see the real enthusiasm from college players. And that's a little bit about, and this is going to frustrate me a little bit because this is something I may want to talk a little bit in my payoff pitch in a little bit here about. But you see where the NCAA video games are no longer made. If you look at Madden, every year, boom, 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 right? Because they get benefits from it. Everyone that's on there is getting paid for their likeness. But you go to the NCAA, it's a big issue now. Whether or not these athletes should be paid for their likeness and their image and what they use on their names that people are profiting from. The NCAA is profiting, these schools are profiting from, right? We talked a little bit about Texas in one of our shows having Corona as a beer sponsor, right? Remember that? I do not, but I'm going to take your word for it.
Take my word for it. So that was a big thing, being the first beer sponsor at a collegiate level, and you're thinking, well, they always just drink beer and stuff like that. Why is that big of an issue? I don't like it because I loved those games, those NCAA games, because it gave me the excitement of that college atmosphere where I could create my own college player, right? Yeah. And I could be that Heisman Trophy winner, right? and you can have all these. I mean, there's so many rivalries you talk about. I mean, there's rivalries we don't even know about, like with UC and Western Kentucky. Maybe I don't even know. I'm just making stuff up right now. But I mean, you go on this game.
I believe it.
I mean, right? I mean, you go on this game, and there's so many different, like the toilet paper rivalry. Like, what is this? Like, what are we doing? Like, I didn't even know this was a thing, right? And you got, I mean, there's so many cool, like the kegs and nails type of rivalry that are actually real, that are so much fun that you can play for, and that gives it spirit, right? And when you're doing these Madden football games, it's just like, oh, okay, I'm going to be playing with Andy Dalton against Tony Romo. Well, not Tony Romo anymore because he's going to be in the broadcast booth, but Dak Prescott, right?
Yeah.
Or you got the Seattle defense, and you really want to peg that against one of the best offenses in the league with, you know, whoever, the Tom Brady's. And it's just fun because it's at the highest level and you want to compete. And it's got all these different things. But the essence of college football, I believe, has been diminished because of this whole pay-per-player type of thing. We want them to have their likeness, and I don't care. Like, pay them a stipend, whatever. Like, make a decision or something, because this whole conversation has been going on for, I think, you know, close to 5 years now, like 3 or 5 years. And it's starting to get irritating for me because all I want to do is have the college experience, have people be in, you know, in a crazy, you know, Nippert holds about 30,000. They're not getting 30,000 at the Bearcats game. We talked about the FC pulling more.
Yeah, way more. They always get more. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can say that it's the fact that FC is like more of a bona fide like team, while college football or college whatever. I mean, I think UC does like all their sports in Nippert Stadium except for baseball. You can see that while there's a lot of pride in UC, there's more pride in FC Cincinnati because there are people who went to Xavier and people who went to Miami, and there are all sorts of different colleges surrounding Cincinnati, but everybody can gather around FC, and that's something that you can really say is more special about like major league teams or major league or like NFL or MLB or whatever.
And that's true, but I mean, there's a lot of different elements that make FC more desirable. But I think and going back to my point about these likenesses, I mean, people in college can't get paid right now for how much work they put in. And I mean, I have the argument, and I'll go to my grave probably unless I change my mind, which can happen, to this ideology is that they are getting paid in a free tuition. And granted, they're doing more than some of those other people that are getting a free tuition as well with some scholarships and like that. But I believe that that's diminishing everything that colleges stand for. NCAA has gone business, and they've always been a business, but right now hundreds of $1 million are being profited, and they're paying these coaches $5 million a year. Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Brian Kelly,
all these guys,
they're getting massive amounts. I mean, you look at what in Texas, and this is a little off topic, but the high school coaches in Texas, because it's so big in Texas, like high school football is, they're getting paid 6-figure salaries.
6 figures.
In Texas for high school football. Joey, wrap that around your head. 6-figure salaries to be a high school football coach.
Yeah, and if you're getting paid 6 figures for high school, then you need to really consider going to college, because if you get to college, then you can get paid more, and then you can be noticed by the NFL.
What's the point? I mean, what if you're comfortable being, I mean, granted, all these coaches want to go to the next level, right?
Of course.
But if you're getting paid 6 figures at a high school where your family can get a great education, where your community is nice, tight-knit, and everyone loves each other, and you don't have to move constantly, and you don't have to worry about your job on the line every year or every 2 years based on your performance and how you recruit and things like that, you're at the bottom of the bed. You're the bottom feeders, right? You're bottom of the ocean right now. Every college and every pro are looking at you because you're providing the recruits for their colleges, right?
Yeah.
And so you're getting 6 figures. You're getting $100K a year to be like, hey, look at my students and doing all this stuff. I mean, it's teachers, literally. I mean, at Clark Montessori, the paraprofessionals are the head football coaches, right?
Yeah.
You know this.
Yeah.
Last year, that's who it was. And so he's not getting paid $100,000. And I mean, quite a difference from Clark Montessori High School in Cincinnati, Ohio, to Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas, or a big high school in Texas. But my point is that the NCAA has been more primarily focused on profiting and making money rather than the college experience. I don't want to get too much into this, and I'm actually, you know what? I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to go in the Clemson argument, because when they got in the national championship, they did something to their campus, and they made it incredibly valuable for all those students, but in a more entertainment way. And I'm not necessarily sure that was a good idea for college students.
I don't think it was.
Well, we'll save that conversation maybe for a little payoff pitch, but let's wrap this up a little bit. And what do you think?
Well, I think that my payoff pitch for this time will be about the trade deadline, the MLB trade deadline, and I want to really hit on one trade that happens. Todd Frazier, the former Red, he played.
Yes, sir.
He played from 2011 to 2015 with us, and he was a great player. But then we traded him to the White Sox because the White Sox really needed a power hitter because they thought they were going to be competing that year. They weren't. But because of injuries and disappointing play in general.
Sure.
But Todd Frazier got traded to the Yankees, the New York Yankees, for prospects, and Tyler Clippard, who was a reliever for the Washington Nationals for a while, and then he went to the Yankees from free agency.
Okay.
And he's really the type of guy that, used to be really good, but he's kind of fallen off as of late. And the Yankees, along with Todd Frazier, the former Red, also got David Robertson, who's a very good relief pitcher.
No doubt.
Who isn't like a guy that's gonna blow you away with like his stuff, but he's a very solid relief pitcher, and that's something that a lot of teams really need, especially the Reds. But we're not gonna be getting him anytime soon because he just got traded to the Yankees. And they also got Tommy Cownley. I cannot pronounce that, but I will say that he's been having a very underrated year this year. He's been having an ERA that's about 2.15. 2.15 for a guy that nobody's ever heard of, but he's just been blowing away people with his stuff. And the Yankees really do need a bullpen because you remember the Yankee bullpen of like the late 2000s, the early 2010s. It was like locked down. It was great. You had Mariano Rivera, you had Joba Chamberlain, you had guys like that. Guys that could just shut people down. And I think they're trying to revive that to make like a second coming of the Derek Jeter Yankees, or the Derek Jeter Yankees, except the Aaron Judge Yankees, or the Gary Sanchez Yankees, or whatever you want to call it.
So you got Todd Frazier, Aaron Judge, Didi Gregorius, and what other? There's another player.
Gary Sanchez.
Yeah, but what's that? Who's that ex-Red that was on there? That reliever.
Oh, Aroldis Chapman.
The Cuban Missile. So we got 3 ex-Reds on there at the same time right now.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And that is cool.
And they all played, and you told me earlier, they all played together.
Yeah, they all played together in 2012.
Yeah.
Didi played in 2012 before he got traded to the Diamondbacks. Aroldis Chapman, of course, was a Cuban Missile.
Yeah. Was that his rookie season too?
No, it wasn't. His rookie season was 2010.
Okay, 2010. But was it Frazier's rookie season in 2012?
Yes, it was Frazier's rookie year. I believe he was 26 at the time, kind of older for a rookie, but not too big of a deal. And then in 2013 through 2015, he batted for all right average and great power.
Yeah.
He still has that power, but that average has dropped off. It's down to like 200 or 210.
Yeah.
Not very good, but...
You speak of that power. So Aaron Judge won the home run derby this year.
Yeah.
And then Frazier won it in 2014.
2015.
2015, was it?
That was here at in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah.
Great American Ballpark.
Yeah.
It was in my opinion.
Okay.
That was the greatest home run derby of all time.
But so now they have 2 people in Aaron Judge and Todd Frazier who won the home run derby. 2 champions of the home run derby on the same team.
Yeah,
It's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
You see what I did there?
Yeah. And if they kept Robinson Cano, they would have another one.
There you go.
But I mean, you can't really. That's pretty hard to do, considering the offer that the Mariners had for him. Like that was 3 times the money that Seattle needed to pay to keep the Supersonics in Seattle. Which that whole thing's unfortunate, but we can go down that road at another time. Because I will talk about it.
You'll talk about it?
I will talk about it.
Yeah, Seattle's a good spot. Okay.
All right.
So my payoff pitch, Joey, is a little serious. I'm not going to get too much into it because of what I think about it, because it's a personal opinion of mine, and I feel like where we're going right now with social media and live video streams and things you can just put on the internet, everyone is going away from editorials, newspapers, right? This has been happening the last 3-5 years or so, especially with the resurgence, not resurgence, but the assurgence of Facebook. Back in about, 2007 or something, Facebook came about. Whatever it may be. Ever since then, it's blown up, and people have been using social media, YouTube especially, to put their live video feeds, and people like NBC, Fox, Sports Illustrated, for example, have been trying to capture the content of where our society has been transforming to. And what it's been coming of our society right now is everybody wants videos, and they want videos now.
And sometimes that moving from like a magazine or like a newspaper to like videos and stuff like that. Sometimes it works well, and sometimes it doesn't work at all. That happens for every new thing that happens.
It's the struggle now is that it's working. It's moving primarily. It's now transitioning into video now. There's no more editorials. I mean, you look at the Cincinnati Enquirer. Everything that even myself, I get online. I don't get the Cincinnati Enquirer. My parents still do. A lot of people probably in their 60s still do. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
But is that their audience? Sure, a little bit, but it's not their main demographic. What they're trying to get is the people that are on Facebook, is they're millennials. Yeah. People that are going to be watching and listening to Sports Illustrated and ESPN and Fox Sports, and with this whole Colin Cowherd thing, they wanted their show to be primarily online at the beginning. Yeah. They said, we want to be on TV sometimes. Because people don't watch the TV. They don't DVR it too much, right? No. They want to get on their phones. They want it now, and they want to see and get involved in that content. So there's been a couple studies done, one primarily done about the length of the video content and the engagement of the viewer. And the study concluded that the longer the video is, the more engagement you can get. Instead of just going on Facebook and seeing like a 30-second video, they feel like you should be going to the actual site, let's say NBC Sports, and looking at the video, and therefore you can get that viewer engaged for more than that 30 seconds. So that's where the primary focus is going, is that they want to have their content on their main site where they can engage users. And my whole pitch here is the fact that I don't like it. I don't like it either. Well, the reason why I don't like it, Joe, and you can tell me your reason here in a second, is because there's something to be valued in one of those magazines in your hand. Yeah. Right? Those subscriptions are so much fun. And I'm a subscriber of Sports Illustrated and Men's Health. Those 2 magazines are important to me because I like sports and I like being healthy. And I like to see it. I don't want to go online where sometimes it's kind of confusing to see it. The display is hard. The user-friendly landscape of the website is not, like, I can't search for what I want to see. Yeah. When the Reds were thinking about drafting Hunter Green, I got that Sports Illustrated issue because he was on the front cover, and I wanted to read about his story. Right, exactly. And I wanted to read all about it, and it was great because what Sports Illustrated and a number of different editorials do, and Paul Doherty does a great job, I think, in the Cincinnati Enquirer, but I can read him online now. But it's still, I miss reading the personal stories about some of these players and organizations now online than in a magazine. Sports Illustrated 2 years ago had throughout the year an annual issues of about 51 magazines that they distributed. Yeah. There's talk about diminishing that to about 24 this year. So that's half of their magazines just going poof, right?
Yeah, just
and it's all because of video content going online. And it bothers me because, like we talked about the essence of college football earlier, right? That's my whole pitch right now. Like, I want that experience. I'm missing that personal engagement for where it makes me feel comfortable, where I can sit down and read something and relax. Our world is so chaotic where we're always trying to worried about like how many hours we're working or how much homework do you have to do, right? Yeah. Why can't we just sit down, relax, reflect, and just hear about some good stories that people are doing good work reporting on with something in our hands instead of our phones, right? And this is for a different topic and not necessarily sports related, about how the blue light affects our eyes and how much time we're investing on a computer screen and how tired our eyes get, things like that.
Yeah,
but
stuff like that.
I feel like having something material in our hands is vanishing, and I want those SIs of the world, those Cincinnati Enquirers of the world, those editorials to stay with me. But I can tell you, maybe in 2 or 3 years when we're doing this, Joey, if we're doing this, they're going to be gone. And it's going to be a shame.
Yeah, it will be a shame, Patrick. You can always hope that stuff like that won't go, and I certainly hope that magazines and other things that you can hold in your hand won't disappear. But you can't be so sure that it won't happen. Unfortunately, it looks like we're evolving more and more into a digital age and a digital world, and it doesn't look like we're on the path to really changing that back to the good old days when you could just read a magazine and that could be that. You could just have a fine time.
See, what people are wanting is that content now, but they don't want it to last long. They want to see that 30-second video and have a good laugh, but they're not engaged with it, right? Unless it's something kind of silly or stupid or funny. That's what the 30-second videos are for.
Of course.
To be engaged fully and to understand the value of it, you need to watch it. And these studies have shown it, that you need to have about a 4-minute video to have engagement from those users and show value. And that's why they have to go to those sites, and that's why they're putting them on. They're not putting it on Facebook. They're not putting it on Twitter. They're giving that message and putting it out like we do. We go on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and stuff like that at SoCo to show that, hey, click on this link, go to our YouTube page, right? Go to our website. We want you to come to our website to see other content, because radio show is not the only thing we do. They want to see other content. And once you get engaged with one video that is, oh, this is really cool, I can relate to this, then you can think that there's other content that's being pushed on that website from that organization that you can relate to as well. That's what they want. Because then they get subscribers, and then they get money, and they become wealthy. Yeah, that's what they want.
And with that, I think that'll do it for this week's edition of the Payoff Pitch. Make sure to check us out on TuneIn Radio and subscribe to us on YouTube at Clark Montessori. Search it up in the search bar, as you do. Also, follow us on Twitter at SoCo Club, and I think from me, Joey Olberding, and Patrick Lewis, I hope you stay tuned to 95.7 MRC for more Payoff Pitch and, well, so much more.